So guys, some really bad news for a lot of the guys in the UK watching this video, especially if you mostly watch the free to view stuff on TV, the Formula 1 coverage, because from 2019 onwards, it's confirmed now that Sky have got exclusive broadcast rights of the Formula 1 from 2019 onwards onto 2024. So it's a 5-year deal from 2019 to 2024 where Sky will completely have the they have all of the rights to Formula 1. No one else can have like shared coverage of it. So it means that Channel 4, they've put a lot of money into getting this thing up and going, and they're only going to have it for a few years, 2016, 17, 18. So 3 years max that the Channel 4 are going to be having free to view coverage for you guys. And whilst I do I do tend to watch it on Sky, I do find the coverage incredibly irritating. So yeah, I try to just watch as much on the free to view as possible, to be perfectly honest. If I miss a race, I normally catch up with highlights on the free to view. I don't normally watch Sky. We've got the stuff at home. I think it comes with some sort of Sky deal, so we don't really pay that much for it. But it's just so boring. I find that the Sky coverage in comparison to the other stuff, which was BBC, which is now Channel 4, and the fact that Sky have now sort of taken over the whole deal means we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice from what coverage we want to view it on. And obviously we haven't had choice of MotoGP, for example, over the last few years, but there are always highlights on other other stations, I should say, because I think MotoGP does show highlights on ITV4 like a few days later or later in the day, so there is still some choice in that. But this F1 deal means that no one else can show coverage of the Formula 1. But I should also stress here that Sky have done a couple of good things. I mean, they're not completely taking it away, so there are some free to air things. So for example, the British Grand Prix, that's free to air, and anyone can watch that if you have a Sky subscription or not. You can watch the British Grand Prix, which is great. I mean, it's one thing at least. And they also say that you can watch highlights of the races and also qualifying free of charge. So it's something, but it's still not perfect, because that takes away half of the race. Obviously, that some guys they can't get Sky for one reason or another. It takes that away from them, and I do find that incredibly disappointing that Bernie Ecclestone has gone this way. I mean, obviously I know some things should be, you should have to pay for certain things on TV, if it's like maybe like a one-off, whatever, but Formula 1 has such a big audience every single year, and you're cutting off a huge majority of that audience. I'm assuming a huge part of that audience at least, through taking away the free-to-air part. And we're trying to be encouraging new people to watch Formula 1, because you could say over the last 10 years Formula hasn't been that exciting, and we're trying to get obviously new people to get involved in the sport. And by taking away the free-to-air coverage, that's something. I mean, with football, I think we have a good example. We always have the paid versions, obviously with BT Sport and Sky having the rights for the Premier League, but then we do have free stuff from time to time. Well, we always have Match of the Day, which is obviously later on in every weekend, and we also have some FA Cup coverage and ITV highlights of the Champions League, Europa League. We have that all free, and that's something that football does good. I mean, it's not obviously live, we don't get to see some of the matches live, but it still gives us everything we wanted to see from those important sort of fixtures in football. But in this Formula 1 thing, it's taking a lot of it away. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like Sky, like me for example. They just don't like watching the Sky F1 coverage because they find it tedious. They find some of the presenters really annoying. So even though they are giving a bit for free, they're giving us highlights and whatever for free. This article doesn't say when those highlights would be. It could be like a week down the line that we get highlights. I'd assume it'd be either later on at night or maybe the next day, but I do think it's a step back. Obviously Bernie Ecclestone wants as much money for himself as possible, so I suppose for him at least it's a win. But I can see for a lot of people that want to be watching F1 races, who have seen F1 races live, at least half of those races live each year for a number of years now, they're going to have that taken away from them, which is really, really disappointing. So yeah, my thing, I'd say here, is definitely save your money if you want to watch Formula 1, because it's going to get interesting. I don't know if Sky are going to be ramping up the prices, now they have exclusive rights. I really hope they don't, because it's just, it gives you even less of an incentive to want to watch Formula 1. I mean, I know there are other ways to watch Formula 1, I'm sure some like streaming sites or whatever, but that's obviously not legal or whatever, but some people do that. But some people are going to have to resort to that to watch F1 races live now, and there's a whole problem with like piracy and everything in the whole world at the moment, where people aren't paying for certain things, like obviously like F1 or whatever. People aren't watching, are paying to watch it. They're trying to watch every race live. They're having to find streams of it, for example, around the internet, and that's obviously not the healthiest thing for everyone really. I mean, I don't know. It's just disappointing that the fact that they went for this, and I'm just kind of disappointed that Bernie Ecclestone couldn't have thought like a bit of an alternative once again. I mean, you could have just given highlights or something to Channel 4. I mean, it's a step backwards, I know, still, but it still gives someone else, it gives that little bit of choice. We have that choice in football, I suppose, from time to time. If we don't want to watch Sky Sports, whatever, we can always go and watch the highlights on BBC later in the day. But I know maybe it's something I'm complaining a bit too far. Maybe it's all alright. Maybe you guys don't mind, but especially for the people in the UK, I mean, I'm sure it will affect people elsewhere as well, because a lot of countries do use the coverage from the BBC and Channel 4, I'm sure, as well, and Sky, because obviously, well, there are quite a lot of English-speaking countries around the world, so I'm sure some countries just decide to use our coverage as well, and give a bit to the Channel 4 or whatever to use their coverage. So yeah, I just think it is a backward step. I mean, if everything becomes pay to view, it. For some things it's good. For some TV shows, for example, I think it's good. But my question is, where is this extra money going to? Where is this all this money from Sky going to? If it's going to Bernie Ecclestone himself, it is very disappointing. If it's going to the teams, I suppose it does help it. But they've got a huge amount of money anyway, so why does that matter? Why can't we still have that free to view on a different channel? I mean, we're still getting the free to view, but it's just that hasn't been outlined yet exactly what we're getting in that free to view from Sky, and I'm not sure how that's going to work out either if you don't have Sky Box but don't have Sky Sports. So that makes any sense. So if you just have free view, I'm not even sure how that's going to work. So I'm not even sure the Sky Sports channels are sort of like whether you can get them on the free views, because we've only ever had Sky, so it's I don't know. I'm sure someone can explain for me, but I'm sure this is going to get a whole lot more complicated. I'm sure there are going to be little things fed in here and there, and maybe extra little costs which are going to be, I'm sure, disappointing for everyone involved, because not everyone watching Formula 1 is made of money. Like, the people watching football aren't made of money. That's why I'd say a lot of people just decide to watch it on Match of the Day, or just listen to radio commentary, because it is so much easier and cheaper. But yeah, it's disappointing in my opinion. I really hope they do take a backward step, but it's all signed now, so I can't see that happening. And well, I guess we just got to wish Sky the best, and hopefully they will give us some free-to-air stuff apart from qualifying and highlights. I think it did say there might be a few more Grand Prix free to air, but I'm not too exactly sure whether they'll, will they stay with that or not. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Leave your comments down below. This is a big issue for Formula 1. Whether you like it or not, leave your comments down below. Am I complaining a bit too much? I don't know. I just want to give everyone as much opportunity to watch F1 as possible, because let's be honest, it isn't as big a sport around the world as football is, for example. So, taking even more of the audience away, is that a good thing? I don't know. Leave your comments down below. I'd appreciate it. Thank you for watching. It's been Alex, and I'm out of here. Goodbye.